So, Johan, can you share your
still-
screen
Oh,
now?
now lets me. Yes.
You can?
Yeah. You can see that?
Yeah, we can see it.
Wonderful.
Sorry, I'm a bit flowish again.
That's okay. So, topic is the argument for God, a dialogue with atheists. So the agenda is a dialogue with a theist and an atheist. I'm going to ask someone to volunteer themselves to take part in my presentation to read the atheist response during the dialogue. If someone would like to volunteer themselves,
Who
that'd
wants
be
to
good.
read?
Yes, please.
No, I didn't say so. I've got an accent, and I'm kind of flowish.
I can read it.
Yep. Okay, so I'll start off. So, good evening. I'm looking forward to discussing the existence of God from a biblical perspective. Let's start with the creation account in Genesis. Genesis 1.1 states, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." This asserts that God is the creator of everything.
Good evening. While Genesis provides a creation narrative, it's one of many from different cultures and religions. How do we know the biblical account is true and not just a myth like others?
That's a fair question. I believe the Bible's consistency, historical reliability. Oops, I'm just going to move my camera so I can see the screen. And the fulfillment of prophecies support its truth. For example, the prophecy in Isaiah 53 about the suffering servant matches the life of Jesus remarkably well, written centuries before his birth.
Prophecies can be interpreted in various ways, and some argue that the gospel writers could have tailored their accounts to fit these prophecies. Also, historical reliability can be contested. How do we address these concerns?
It's true that interpretation plays a role. However, the level of detail and the number of prophecies fulfilled by Jesus suggest more than coincidence. Furthermore, archaeological findings often support biblical accounts, such as the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, which contain texts that align with the Hebrew Bible.
Archaeology can support parts of historical narratives without validating the supernatural aspects. For example, the existence of a historical Jesus doesn't necessarily prove his divinity or the truth of his miracles.
I understand that point. Let's consider another aspect: the moral teachings of the Bible. Romans 2:14 to 15 speaks of the law written on our hearts, suggesting an innate sense of right and wrong given by God. How do you explain this moral sense without a divine source?
Moral values can arise from evolutionary and social processes. Humans developed moral systems to promote cooperation and survival. We don't need to invoke a divine source to explain our sense of morality.
Evolutionary explanations account for some aspects of morality, but the existence of objective moral values, like the wrongness of torturing children, seems to require a transcendent source. This aligns with the biblical view of a moral lawgiver.
Objective morality is a complex issue. Some argue that moral realism can exist independently of God, grounded in rationality or human well-being. Also, different cultures have different moral standards, which suggests morality is not entirely objective.
That's a valid point. Moving on, let's talk about personal experiences of God. Many people report transformative encounters with God, as seen in biblical accounts like Paul's conversation in Acts 9. How do you view these experiences?
Personal experiences can be powerful, but they are subjective and can be explained by psychological factors. People from various religions support similar transformative experiences, which suggests they are not unique to Christianity.
Personal experiences are indeed subjective. but their consistency and life-changing impact across different cultures and times support their authenticity. Additionally, the Bible's transformative power, leading countless individuals to profound changes in behavior and purpose, is significant evidence for many.
The transformative power of religious belief is undeniable, but it doesn't necessarily point to the truth of the beliefs. Other ideologies and philosophies also transform lives. The key question remains whether the underlying claims are true.
True, the transformation or alone isn't proof. However, combined with other arguments like fulfilled prophecies, historical reliability, and moral teachings, it builds a compelling case for the existence of the biblical God. Would you be open to exploring these aspects further?
I'm always open to exploring and discussing different viewpoints. While I remain skeptical, understanding each other's perspectives is valuable. Let's continue the conversation.
Agreed.
Guys, can I just say something about the transformative teachings, transformative power of other teachings? No one in history, let me tell you, has ever read Plato or Aristotle or Socrates or some of the philosophers, Kant, or I don't know, you name it, and said, "Oh, now everything is clear to me. Now I know, I understand." Okay?
Yeah.
That has never
True.
happened in the history of philosophy. Okay?
That's
And
the
so-
end of the
All right,
the-
so you just go on.
yeah, I'll say I agree. Respectful dialogue helps us grow and learn. Thank you for engaging with me on this topic. That's it.
All right. So that is moral. There is also, thank you very much, Jovan. That's really,
It's okay.
that was really, it was good. Actually, we never had,
Thanks.
had something like this, like a dialogue.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Thanks.
Now, where are we? Can we hear each other?
Yep.
Yeah.
There are few other arguments like this is, you know, a moral argument. There is a cosmological argument for God. Jared, I can see you nodding.
Yeah. There's definitely yeah, those ones are good though. Like the moral argument, I think is pretty good.
Okay.
The cosmological argument is one. I sometimes I get that confused with other ones, but yeah, there's a few. There's definitely a few.
I think there is like a wish, and they compare that, theologians compare that with hunger. Like, why do we even want to know God or find God? Why is there even any sort of a wish to go further and beyond this reality? And then it's like hunger. So what? And theologians are saying, okay, you can't see food, but yet you know there is food, and your hunger, your sense of hunger is telling you that yes, food is somewhere to be found. And so you go and you look for food. So that is actually telling you there is God. So why would we even ask these questions and go on a quest for God if there wasn't God in the first place? All right? So I think that's a good one as well. And also about the world. And cosmos. And you know that the author of Big Bang Theory is a Catholic priest? Yeah, a Belgian Catholic priest. So, you know, that the church is dumbing down the faith and so on. That's pretty recent, but sorry?
The priest wrote about Big
A
Bang
great
Theory.
show. No, I love it.
Sorry, I had to think about that for a second.
No, the Big Bang Theory. I don't mean the show, but
Like the actual theory, yeah.
the actual theory. Yes, that everything has a beginning. So the
All
point of that
right.
theory is that, you know, there was once upon a time there was a Big Bang. So, and it all started from there. But you know, the question is, why is there something rather than nothing? And you know, even when we ask questions why, and where and who and how, that tells us that there is a God. The very existence of the question, the very existence of the world tells us, we should ask ourselves, science is giving these answers, how the world was made, and then you have various theories, theory of evolution, theory of this, theory of that, Big Bang theory, and so on. And they have to be serious, of course, in order to be valid. But what the Bible is teaching us, it's why is there something? Why is there a universe? Why is there the world? Or anything for that matter? And so we answer, yes, that's the most important thing, because there could have been nothing, yet there is something. And so why is there something rather than nothing? And so then we ask the question of purpose, of meaning. So if there is this world, universe, whatever, if there is something that already exists, we ask the question, what's the purpose of life? What's the purpose of this world? Where are we heading? And so we have all different tools to help us there, the Bible and theology. And it's usually passed down to us in poetic language. So Bible, before it was written, and the oldest manuscripts were found probably some 400 years before Christ. So not older than that. But we know that these stories are much older, and so they were passed on from generation to generation as oral history, as oral story, as poems, pretty much. They did not understand, as Jovan just said, he quoted the suffering servant from Isaiah. That's some 900 years before Christ, when Isaiah is saying, and he took on our sins upon himself and was pretty much suffering for us and so on. And when you read that chapter 51, I think, of Isaiah, you can't not think about the crucifixion of Jesus, word to word. And then, how could they know this 800 years before Jesus? So they didn't. They just passed on from one generation to the other generation, and then after after Christ, the apostles have realized this is what it is. This is the fulfillment of the prophecy. Or when Isaiah says, "And the virgin shall conceive, and she will give birth to a son, and will name him Emmanuel." That's the same Isaiah 800 years before Christ. So them repeating these for hundreds of years. And there is also a story of Saint Simeon, who was translating the books of Bible from Hebrew to Greek in the 2nd or 3rd century before Christ. When he wanted to change that, there is this tradition, whether it's true or not, but he wanted to say, and the woman will conceive and will give birth, because it wasn't logical for him to say, and the virgin will conceive and will give birth. He wanted to change, and then the tradition says, oh, an angel appeared to him and said, no, don't you change anything. Leave it as it is, as you've received it. So, yeah. What else? I don't know. You asked some questions. I lost track now. What I wanted to say.
What about an atheist who looks at like all the different explanations? I guess why would they choose Christianity over every other explanation of why there is something rather than nothing?
Well, they don't have to. The first thing is you don't have to. It is. All the evidences, but then we got to go through the evidences. Why is then Christianity authentic rather than any other? The proof is in the pudding. All religions are not the same. You have religions who are destructive, and that's a fact. And it's proven in history that religions per se were destructive, or religions that were violent. Christianity, you had extremist Christians, but Christianity in itself, no, it's not. And then you have monotheistic religions, of whom the most important are, I guess, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Well, they're very similar in, they share a lot of things in common. Of course, it's not, when we kind of go and start comparing different religions, we can't have, I told you that, I think, many times, you can't have this exclusivistic approach like, oh, we're the only one who are right and all of you are wrong. Because if we have that sort of an approach, we would exclude ourselves, because there is so many things we share. Also, we have to be very mindful not to have this inclusivist approach like, oh, all religions are the same. Doesn't really matter. They're all different roads that lead to the same mountaintop. If we say that, then we spit in the face of millions of martyrs who gave life for Christ. So no one gave life for Zeus, I told you many times, or for Apollo, or for Greek mythological gods. Never. But for Christ, even now, Christianity is the most persecuted religion in the world. You now have people who are being killed just because they're Christians. And that's the majority of people who are persecuted. That's the most persecuted religion today. It's a fact. Google it, see it around the globe. Go to Gaza, to Syria, to Africa, to China. That's what it is. You try bringing a
Paris
Bible.
Olympics.
Oh, I'm going to comment on that. Do you want me to
Just-
comment that?
Of
It's not worth
course.
commenting. Okay. Because
Yeah.
if you're commenting this, and if you're going out in public against this, you're giving it a momentum. It is okay. Christianity is not a childish, immature religion like Islam. Let me be totally clear. So we can take it, in other words. We had much better performers and artists like Monty Python mocking Christians, and we're still around. It didn't harm us at all. And Monty Python did it in a very intelligent way. Let me tell you. Watch Monty Python, how they're mocking, Jesus and those stories. Okay, we can take, and we gave birth. The Western Christian civilization gave birth to this kind of freedom and liberty, where yes, you can criticize us, and criticism is okay. Okay? We can take it. And if there is something we need to fix, let's fix something that's wrong within our own lines. But apart from it, it's just I think the performance was very unprofessional and stupid in my way. It's not like, I admire Monty Python, for example. Really, I love it. I love watching it because it's intelligent, it's smart, it's funny, and all that. But this was just bad art.
It's just weird and gross. That's what's
Yeah,
more
it's just
offensive than anything about it. It's just weird.
Yeah. I think it's also bad. I mean, there is nothing to memorize.
Yeah.
I mean, the very purpose of it was not, there was nothing, no message to be passed, no one to be criticized. It was just gross. Just the very purpose was just, oh, we're going to mock you because we can. All right, fair enough. Yes, you can. And what you're going to do to us? It's not going to, and the effect is the opposite. All right, actually, because now we've got Christians and everyone. You've got Samsung saying, we're not going to sponsor Olympics. We're not going to give you $1 billion. You've got Christians praying in Paris and so on. All right, that's fine. At least there is some good effect to it. People have started thinking about Jesus, about their religion, about their values. So thank you very much.
I think it also woke up a lot of Christians to actually.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yes.
it woke him up to say, yes, I am Christian and I'm very proud of my faith.
Yes, and thank you
And
very much for this performance.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as I said, we are not immature. We can take it. We've given birth to things like that, to this sort of critical thinking. And it's okay. It's fine. And if there is something rotten within our own lines, all right, well, you point to us, and it's okay. We need to clean up our own backyard, I guess. And there is a lot of things that are rotten within Christian churches. Just gonna say within Orthodox Church. I'm gonna widen it a little bit. because it wasn't directed towards any specific church. It was just Christianity in general. But there is no Christianity without the church. So we may as well find ourselves there, I guess. Sorry, I'm a bit fluish, so you can tell by my voice again this year after.
I just got over it.
Well, I got over it like a month ago, and now I don't know. Coming back, yeah. I know. So yeah, what other argument for God there is? Jared,
There's
when you talk to your friends that are atheists, and there is majority of them, I believe.
yeah. What do I tell them? Oh, I don't know. I think the moral argument is good in the sense that you can't really it's actually impossible to justify morality without a belief in a God, right? Because if there's no lawgiver, it doesn't make any sense for there to be a moral law. So that's the one I usually like to think of because no one, if they're being honest, will really deny having morals, or no one can be consistent and deny morality, right? Like someone might say to you that, oh, there's no God, so morality is subjective, but they don't actually live like that. No one lives like that. So I think when you point that out, you can kind of get people to realize that to not believe in God and not believe in the moral law is to be inconsistent. So I like the moral argument personally, you know.
It depends from person to person, I think. It depends whom you meet and what works best for there is various personalities and various types of people you're going to meet, and whatever works for someone, cosmological argument works better. For someone, moral argument works better, and there is various others. Um, but it's true that morality is different in different cultures. What is true for everyone is that there is some sort of a system. Like we want to be put in a certain system, and it's easier for us to work like that, to live like that within a system. Now, the fathers of the church are also saying, and it's also in the Bible, Apostle Paul says that love is above and beyond morality. So you can't go around moral law, but you can go beyond and above moral law. If that makes sense. Does it? You understand, guys?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, I think so.
Can you say it again?
You can't go around, you can't bypass moral law, if that's the word, bypass, zaobići. Yep. Yeah, you can't bypass it, but you can go above and beyond moral law. Like you have the whole order of saints that are called fools for Christ. They were not moral at all. They would sometimes walk naked and that's not morally right at all. But they were saints, okay? Or they would use very inappropriate language for our own, culture and so on. But they would say, or they would be accused, like Saint Gabriel of Georgia, accused that he's a drunkard and he's a recent saint. He was canonized in 1994, I think. That Julia's favor. Is Julia around? I think she is. And you have the whole, as I said, um, level, or like you have venerables, you have martyrs, you have holy fathers, you have holy doctors, you have fools for Christ, Eurodivi. That's an order of saints, pretty much. And not everyone has that gift. And they weren't moral, according to our standards, or Victorian standards. You name it. Even morality in our society has changed. Okay. If that makes sense. Did you understand that?
When you say like to go above and beyond it, what do you mean by that exactly? Like to
Well,
go
the
above
only
the
law
moral
is
law?
love. The only law is love.
Mm,
Apostle Paul says that.
yeah.
I think we
So
read
that's
that
like
last Sunday on the. and
is that like to go to the actual heart of what the law is trying to do? Is like to get to the, instead of to take the law for
well, you
what
can't
it is on the
limit
surface?
God with any
Yeah.
sort of a law.
Mm.
God is a mystery, and so God has provided that law. But if you become close to God, then the only law for you is love. And you'll do
Mm.
anything.
You think, like the fools for Christ, they express love in a way that's not visible to people who are just concerned with, I guess, doing the right thing.
Correct. Because we know what happened, and that's really good. Like how Jesus is criticizing Pharisees. Because they were fulfilling the law, all right, but they been stuck with it. And the whole Jewish mentality is about law, or Islamic mentality is totally like that. You have 5 pillars of Islam, and you do that, you get a ticket to heaven. That's it. There is nothing. You don't have to think a lot. You just do these things, and there you go. You're gonna go to heaven. Whereas our main thing is not the law, but actually it's to go above and beyond the law, which is love. But in order to come to that stage, as I said, please mind you, you can't bypass the moral law. You have to go through these steps. It's like ladder of climbing, I guess. In other words, don't absolutize morality. That's what I'm saying. As you can, and that's where the atheist is right there when he says moral law are different in different cultures. But there is moral law everywhere, as you said, Jared. Everyone
Yeah.
has it. Yeah. Someone else wants to speak? I need some water. I'm losing my voice again. Would you like some water?
No.
Yeah. Gregory?
Yes,
You there?
Gregory? He's
Is he
there.
there?
I don't know whether you can see him.
Where is he?
Yeah.
There he is. Yeah. Atta boy.
Would there be any arguments to do with like I guess like mathematics and stuff like that, like the absoluteness of like laws of mathematics and stuff. I don't know too much about it.
Me neither. But I'm sure there is something.
Yeah.
You know that mathematics as a discipline is just a helpful discipline that leads you to something else. But there is this in mathematics. Beskonačna. You know the help me
Like the
out.
infinite.
Who knows mathematics? Siva, are you there? I can see some students there. Maybe they are better than me when it comes to that.
I mean like pi or like
Golden ratio?
Sorry?
Golden ratio?
Golden ratio, what's that? Explain to us.
Oh, isn't it? Everything's made in the golden ratio 1 to 1.16 or something like that. You know, where you're the man of David. You know that statue. Everything in nature is perfect is in a golden ratio.
Well, I can say yeah, but I don't understand.
Yeah, but I don't understand. I don't know
It's
maths,
like
but I'm just throwing out.
it's like
Or
our
yeah,
hand to our
yeah.
forearm, our forearm to our arm or something like everything is in this.
Oh, has that proportion?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And in nature, you'll see it.
Across the line. And then it's also like in like plants and shells and stuff.
Which implies intelligent design, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay. All right.
There you go. Should we go and debate some atheists?
Debate of, excuse me, what did you say?
Should we debate some atheists?
Well, I did not have any much luck with that. I mean, good luck with it, but
It doesn't go well.
yeah,
we don't like
debates though, because right before COVID, there was a group of uni students that was coming here to our church. There was like 5 or 6 of them, and we even had that Orthodox society there, and I was there once a week and so on. And there was so much, mostly students of philosophy. There was so much into debating. At the end, none of them actually stayed at the church. So, so I don't think it's helpful for you or for the other person. I don't think it actually helps. So you got to live your Christian life and be a living witness. So
Yeah.
so that you witness with your deeds, with your actions, not so much with your words. Like, let them see how I live, and that's it. So
I feel like there's just too much to explain, or there's just like at the end of is it John, like where he says all the things that Christ did, there wouldn't be enough books in the world
to contain everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's the same about like truth or something. Like you can't.
Yeah, that's right. But I don't think we should abstain from arguing. I think it's important to know the arguments, and that's why we have these meetings to explain to ourselves, so it's clear in our own head what do we believe and what's right. And so when someone asks us, we need to be prepared to give answer. And that's what Apostle Peter says. Always be ready to give reason for the hope that you have. So we have certain hope. We have a goal. There is a purpose of this world. There is a purpose of our lives. So, and we hope, as Peter says. But you need to have reason. Why, and give answer, give reason to others who ask you.
I guess.
So you don't have to be a philosopher, you don't have to be a theologian, but you need to have your own reason that you know, for yourself, I guess. And if it's clear to you, and if it's a good enough reason that, you know, you ask yourself a question and you answer it, and if you're happy with that answer, then present that to someone who asks you. And it's good, this dialogue with other people, because sometimes that actually is pushing you to find out more, because the other person can ask you, well, why do we believe in Jesus? What's that? That's rubbish. And you say, really? Sometimes that can be, that can shake you actually a bit. That can wake you up. When someone asks you a question, you can say, "Oh, I never thought about that. I just accepted that as, you know, as for granted. This is who I am. I'm a Christian. I do these things." But you know, and it's good. It's good to have a dialogue. So I think it's okay.
I guess if there's a person who sort of stops at reason and and doesn't, like you say, like go above and beyond reason before they reason, like they stop at reason and all they can do is reason, then it's kind of impossible to you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. But then that is not a honest dialogue. Then that person actually, the only thing that person wants is um, to convince you that you're just wrong, and and that is in the very beginning wrong. There is no dialogue there, because for a true dialogue to exist, there has to be two logoses, two words. There has to be something equal, that you accept the other person as a person, and so I accept you as a whole. So I might not understand everything that you are, but I just accept it, and I'm trying to understand, and you're explaining it to me, and then you have to be prepared to do the same. So I think if there is an honest dialogue, that's okay. If someone just wants to, that's why it's been said many times that there is no real atheists. Do you understand that? There is,
Yeah.
because because everyone either believes in God or fights God. So there is something
Yeah.
called antitheists. There is no one without God. So you're either with God or you're against Him. And when you who are with God come in encounter someone who is against God, the first thing that person is going to do is going to attack you. So that person will not listen to you. He or she will attack you. Oh, you're stupid. That's just all wives' tales. Who believes in Bible? Who goes to church? Rubbish, nonsense. What's that? That's attacking. That's undermined. You know. Why would you say something like that if you're a genuine friend? If you are someone who means well to me? Why wouldn't you accept that this is? Why wouldn't you be open at least to listen to my perspective? Why would you just attack? Leave me alone. Okay? And that's also okay, as I said before. It's also okay to wake us up, because sometimes we just take things for granted. Oh, I was born as a Christian. I grew up in that. That's what I do. That's stupid. Okay? That is just, you shouldn't be a Christian only for those reasons, because you know you've been just raised in that sort of an atmosphere and culture and so on. So that is why these things as Olympic Games are okay. Yeah, to wake us up. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you know, when we were growing up, calling yourself an atheist wasn't really like, you didn't proudly say it, but now people proudly say that they're atheists.
Well,
Do you know
where
what I
I
mean?
grew up, everyone was an
Oh, well, I
atheist.
guess, oh,
And this is no
communism.
different.
Yeah.
And this is no different.
Yeah, I know. But I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah. The church was just, you know, in communist Yugoslavia, church was just a niche for
yeah.
those who
Oh, right.
really
Yeah.
believed.
Yeah.
And if you were to go to church, you were persecuted, like here today. You have to, put up with a lot of bad things if you decide to be a Christian. So, but you have to man up, and that's it. It's there is no faith without courage. You got to be brave. You got to stand up for yourself. Because you're not actually standing up for yourself. Jesus says, "Who renounces me, I will renounce him at the last at the last day." So it's clear. We shouldn't be walking around and try to convince people that they should become Christians, but we shouldn't also be hiding. That is not a Christian thing at all. Our actions, our words, should be in alignment, I guess, and to live a Christian life. That's the most important thing.
What do you say when someone says, "Oh, I live my truth"? They've got a subjective truth rather than truth is objective. This is my truth, and you live your truth, and I live my truth.
That's just stupid.
Of course it is. I know that. I know, but that's the young people are. This is the thing that they're pushing, right?
That is just stupid.
I
Because
know. This is
people
the
have
thing.
always been wondering, what is the truth? Where is the truth? And if you look at the history of human civilization, that's what the poets were looking for, artists, philosophers, all serious people in the world. So that's not a serious question. That's not that is just it is just dumbing down the society.
Well, which we are at now, right?
Yeah, but we've always been in a way. So, and it's okay. It's fine. That's okay.
People who say that also they will completely throw away that idea of subjective truth when say something happens to them and say they had to go to court or something and they were on trial or they wanted someone to be prosecuted, and imagine if the person who was accused just said, well, it's my truth that I didn't do it, so no one would take that seriously. So
Yeah.
people who say that it's just a way to dance around having to take, I don't know, responsibility
No,
or having
but you
to
see,
face
but
reality.
these people, Jared, they think, oh, it's okay. You have traffic laws. There is a speed limit. There is, you got to drive on the left hand side in Australia. When you go overseas, you got to drive on your right hand side. You've got all these laws and laws of nature, laws of physics, laws of science, all of that, and that's all fine until it comes to spirituality. For some reason,
Yeah.
only in spirituality it's what I decide. So it's
Yeah.
me. Everything else has some laws and regulations, and I'm fine with that, and I agree with that. So I'm going to drive 40, 50, 60, whatever, when I sit in my car. But when it comes to spirituality, no, there is nothing objective there. That's just stupid. That is not
Very good.
true. That
Yeah.
is not true.
Yeah.
So, because we have the experience of people in if you go from the Bible, but even if you take any religious book, there are spiritual laws, and you abide by it. It's just it can't be. Why would that be any different from any other area of our lives if we want this holistic approach? And those people are usually for this holistic approach. You got to be a holistic person. But I decide here, yet so for some reason I cannot decide, oh, I'm going to drive here 250 because my car can drive 250. And as in anything else, if you decide to drive 250 when the speed limit is 110, you're going to bear consequences. You're going to pay for your actions. In the same way, you're going to pay a big price if you don't abide by the laws of spiritual laws. It's as simple as that. Okay. Any other comments?
What do you think is? Oh, that might be controversial. What do you think is the best argument for orthodoxy specifically, as opposed to just God? What do you think is like the best argument for the orthodox idea of God? Would you say?
Orthodox idea of God. Orthodox idea of God is nothing. It's just authentic biblical. I think that's what it is.
Mm.
If you look, we have the most complete Bible. We abide by the tradition of the church. We are the church of the 7 ecumenical councils. That's been agreed by the entire Christian world. So those are our pillars. 7 ecumenical councils. If you ask anyone that is a serious Christian, he or she will know about 7 ecumenical councils. And we still have the same structure as the original church. We still, and the same belief as if we say, we are the Nicene faith, the Nicene Creed, which anyone in the Protestant or any other denomination, they'll say they know what's Nicene Creed and what's Nicene faith. And it says there, in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. And we are exactly that, one holy Catholic Apostolic. Not Roman Catholic, but all of that. And if you read all those decisions and dogmas that were brought on the 7 ecumenical councils, that's what it is. And you go and look and examine and see for yourself. I wouldn't be convincing people too much, because there are much smarter people on YouTube and everywhere who are doing that. But the proof is in the pudding, yeah.
I feel like you have to...
What brought you, Gregory? What brought you, Jared? Tell me.
I feel like it's more you think about why not to go to other churches, and that brings you here, if that makes sense.
Well, you would be disappointed in the Orthodox Church also, let me tell you, because we're not perfect.
I mean, you don't think about choosing orthodoxy. Why orthodoxy is better, I guess. Orthodoxy is just like, it is what it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the right faith,
and
yeah.
then the other faiths deter from that.
Yes.
Does that sort of make sense?
It makes sense, yes. And it's true. But God has allowed that. It's by God's permission that this split within Christianity happened. So, I guess so. The very word says that. It's the orthodoxia. It's the right, the proper ordering of our lives. What brought you, Jared? What was the thing that was the most important for you?
Oh, I mean, most important. It's hard to kind of like pinpoint it, but I think like the path that I went was that I knew I wanted to be part of the church, and so I wanted to be part of the church that was the one that Christ himself founded, right? So I wanted one that was had a historical connection to, well, the apostles and then Christ, and then that narrows it down a little bit. You can't really be a
Yeah, 'cause
Mormon
there is
or
two.
something like that.
No, there is
Yeah.
two only.
It really kind of narrows it down to either like Roman Catholic or Eastern Orthodox, really. I know that I think there's some other churches, maybe like Anglicans have technical succession or something like that. But anyway, I narrowed it down to the two, and I think it was just more that it just felt more complete. Orthodoxy feels more complete, like it has, has like the liturgy and all the traditions that were kept as well as the Bible. So, whereas they found with like Protestants, where it's sola scriptura and stuff like that, kind of didn't feel like it had everything in the way that Orthodoxy has. You have the saints, you have the liturgy, you have, um, just it just felt more complete to me. And yeah, it was just, I don't know. And then after a few liturgies, I knew that it was the right way to go. So yeah.
Did you grow up Christian, or you were totally
I was
very
baptized in a uniting church, but my parents never took me to church.
right? So
So
what
not
made you
really,
seek?
kind of.
Was there something that made you seek the truth? Was there an event or just something missing?
No, it was just over time, just more and more like the world didn't make any sense. Like things would happen in. It's kind of hard to explain, but like the worldview that I had didn't make any sense anymore. It didn't
Right.
make sense to me that there was no meaning. It didn't make sense to me that um, there was no higher purpose, and so the yeah, the moment that I started to kind of take Christianity seriously instead of dismissing it, the more that I saw how valid what was being taught was. And then it took a few years, but yeah. Uh, there's really a lot to say, but I don't know how
And
to I don't know how
Jared,
to narrow it
mind you,
down. But yeah,
there is also the structure of the church. It's not
yeah,
just the historicity of the church, it's also the structure. You have the Roman Catholic Church, which is very centralized, and that is absolutely contra everything that happened, in the first millennia, for example. So you have now very structurally different Roman Catholic and Orthodox Church, whereas Roman Catholic Church is, one man band, directed by, from one man, and the Pope is all in everything, and the machinery that's under him, or that produces the Pope. So it's all kind of very politically structured also. Whereas the Orthodox Church is structured. It might seem like, oh, this is all separate and divided. You have the Greeks, the Russians, the Serbs, the Romanians, this and that. 17 orthocephalous or autonomous Orthodox churches around the globe, and so on. But that's how it always has been. It's okay. That's okay. Because the real church is the bishop, priests, deacons, and people. That's what the church is. And that's from the New Testament. And then they together, they have to have this apostolic succession, and they have to work together, and then everything that kind of was explained in the first millennia. All right, Gregory is out. I don't know whom else should I ask. But that's another topic now.
What about I feel like just firing questions tonight. Like the Coptics Orthodox. When was that sort of deemed?
That split was in the 5th century. In
Oh, that early.
Yeah. 4051, there was a council at Chalcedon. Chalcedon is a small city in nowadays Turkey, southeast of Constantinople, and that was a place where one of the councils was held, later named the Fourth Ecumenical Council. So we've been talking last year or the year before about ecumenical councils. I think we should repeat this, because the fourth ecumenical council, I would say, is the most important one in terms of Christology, explaining who is Jesus. Because the very first question since the Bible, since people who saw Jesus, they were asking themselves, who is this man? Who is this man? Who is this man that can say to the wind and the storm, stop, and it stops, and the wind and storm and everything obeys him? So the Fourth Ecumenical Council explained that Jesus is a perfect man and a perfect God in one person. So two natures have come together in a person of Jesus Christ. But the two natures coming together have not created some third nature, some mongrel, some demigod, They remained connected or together in such a way that one did not bother or interfere with the other, but they were in perfect union, human and divine nature. Now, there are many reasons why then there was a schism in the 5th century, that the Egyptian Christians, Syrian Christians, and some others have not recognized the decisions of the Fourth Ecumenical Council. Mostly it is politics, terminology, and lack of theological knowledge. Out of Egypt. Egypt was the grain basket of the Roman Empire, and the capital of Roman Empire was Constantinople, and they were sucking life out of it, and so they hated everyone in Constantinople. So that's also so there is always multiple reasons. It's not the only one, but one of the reasons is that. Then there was one heretic really in Alexandria called Eutychus, who was really teaching that there is only one divine nature in Jesus, that Jesus is only God, and in a way that his humanity was just a manifestation, like God was acting and showing us something that he's really not. Like when Jesus is crying, when he has compassion, when he's hungry, when he shows that he's a human. When we read the Bible and we see that Jesus is human, he's thirsty, he's hungry, he's crying, and all that. Well, that's just an act in a way, all right? So what the Oriental Orthodox, which is Coptic, Syrian, Assyrian, their terminology is slightly different than ours, but privately, because I remember as a student 20 years ago, we had a professor of theology who was in our delegation, because there's all constant negotiation with the Oriental Orthodox churches, between the Eastern and Oriental Orthodox churches. And they will say, the Oriental Orthodox theologians would say, we believe the same as you, it is only our terminology that is different. But we also believe that Jesus is truly a perfect God and a perfect human, together in union, together in the person of Jesus Christ. So human and divine nature came together in perfect union in the person of Jesus Christ. That is the Orthodox teaching. That is the teaching of the ecumenical councils. That was accepted by the entire universe, but by few in Alexandria and in Syria. They refused to accept the decisions of that council, and later they excommunicated themselves from the church. Does that make sense, Dushanka?
Yeah. No, it is.
Even more
That's actually
complicated?
no, it did. It did.
But the very fact that they're still around tells us that they are also authentic.
I was going to say, is there efforts or wish or desire to
Constant negotiations.
bring them into the fold
Constant
again?
negotiations, one in the other
If it's the
side.
grace of
Yes,
God, obviously.
yes, very much so. But it's different because it's difficult because it's we've been separated for 1600 years, more than with the Western Church, with Roman Catholics. So this happened about 500 years before the Great Schism between the East and the West.
Because they call themselves the authentic church, don't they?
Yes, they do, and they have everything.
Like the oldest Bible, the oldest this, the oldest that.
Yeah, that's
example.
fine. Yeah, that's fine. But this is really important thing. Who is Jesus, really, and how do you explain this? He is not just he's not just divine. He's not only God. Because you know why is this important? If Jesus was only God and not human, then there is no hope for humanity. Then we can't be saved. You understand?
Yeah, like why would he
Because
come to the...
then death is the end for us. The very purpose of coming of the Son of God to this world is incarnation, which means he wanted to unite himself totally with humanity in order to save humanity from death, from corruption, from everything. So that's the very purpose of coming of Messiah to this world, so he could save it. God could have chosen any other way, like, coming from the sky and presenting himself saying, "Here I am, I'm going to save you." No, but he wanted to unite himself to us so he can save us. If that makes sense now.
It does.
So the consequences of not believing that Jesus is human in the same way that he is God are huge for our own salvation, for the salvation of this matter, of the world. Ecological consequences are huge, because if this world is doomed, if matter is um, if material stuff, matter is sinful. Now this is now a Buddhist view. Then we have to get rid of it. Body is sinful. We have to get rid of it because body is like a dungeon of a soul. That's what Plato is saying. Buddhism is saying the same thing. And we have to get rid of the body. That's why it's a new thing for Christians in the world to bury the bodies. Because before that, the bodies were burned. Now we preserve the body. We're saying this is sacred. We need to take care of it. But it's not just the body, it's the whole matter and material world. It is about salvation of everything. You love one tree. Our perspective, also perspective on ecology is totally different. Because we're not just there to say, okay, I like this tree, I'm gonna save this tree. What, you're gonna save it for the next 50 years, 100 years, 200 years? That tree is going to die anyways. What the author's perspective is, we need to sanctify and consecrate this tree, to bless this tree, and we're going to love this tree as well. Why? Because this is the tree where I was sitting with my children or with my wife, and I spent this special moment, and now this tree is a special tree. And it's going to be transformed in the kingdom of God. It's not going to disappear. Or the cakes, if we enjoy the cakes, if we enjoy them, the roast, whatever you like, all of that is going to be in the kingdom of God because it is connecting us. It is increasing love in between us, and it is part of our communication, of our love. So matter is sacred. Material world is sacred for us. And it's bringing us closer together because what God has intended for us, for this world, is to be in total harmony, in union of love. What the devil is doing, he's smashing it all up, and we're all in opposite kind of opposed to each other, and everything is opposed to each other. And even science was at the beginning, like the first book of science was written in the 18th century with the Enlightenment movement. And so the science was even moving in that direction, like everything needs to be separate. You know, chemistry, biology, physics, this and that. Now, in the last few decades, they've come to realization you have to work together. There is no bee without the flower. You know, basic things, you know. So everything works in union, and it has to be the work in union. But the world without God will perish, because this tree, this flower is not the source of life. God is the source of life. So it has to be connected somehow to the source of life if you want it to live eternally. And that's our purpose. We believe we're here. The purpose is for us to live eternally, not to die. So it has to be connected with the source of life. And all of our efforts are there. Let's bring God into this world, the more the better, because that means more life will be around us. Make sense or not? Or sorry, I went into totally some other direction. Anyways, the time is 9:15. Thank you very much. All right. Have a good night, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
So what are we gonna do with the bathrooms?